Hi everyone, welcome to Greeklish Outdoors. Today I am here at what I call my base camp for a night of camping. But I haven't brought a tent with me. So we're going to be camping in the back of this. First, I'm going to get a few things set up out here and then I'll bring you back because I'm starving. I want to cook some lunch. Right, I've got something special for lunch today. I'm going to attempt to make an udon noodle soup on the back of the truck, and I have some smoked trout to go with it too. So there's our ingredients for the day. We've got some spring onion, some chili, some udon noodles, we have soy sauce, mirin, we have this bonito soup stock, some rainbow trout, we have a little bit of sake and water. And it is as simple as that. Let's chop up that spring onion. I've already washed this, so next for the chili, let's take the now time to boil some water in our trusty pot. To that water we're going to add some of the mirin and some of the soy sauce. If anyone's interested, I will put the full recipe for this in the description of the video. Now we're going to add some of this bonito soup stock. It comes in these little bags with these individual sachets, so we're going to put one of those in there. And now we're going to let that simmer away for 5-10 minutes. Right, while we're waiting, we're going to have a little bit of sake. I bought this quite some time ago. In fact, so long ago, I think it says expired in 2022, but it's booze in it. It should be fine. It appears to have a little cup to come with it, which is always nice. Get away, bees. Right, cheers everybody, or I think it's kanpai in Japanese. That is very, very tasty. I haven't had sake for a long time. Maybe the last bit of sake I had was the bottle I brought back from Japan, which is about 13 years ago now. Now we're going to add some of these udon noodles to the broth. Right, now let's prepare our rainbow trout. Of course you can do this with prawns, with beef. You can even add things like tempura battered shrimp in there as well. Entirely up to you. Going to do little strips of this. In fact, let's try a little bit of that now. Delicious. Right, now some of the bigger pieces of spring onion, especially the white parts, I'm going to add now, and use the green bits as a garnish. Just want to add some little bit more flavour from the spring onions into the stock. Again, it's entirely up to you with this sort of soup. Some people put mushrooms in, some people put egg in it as well. Today I'm just having some fish. But yeah, lots of things. You can put a bit of grated cabbage in there. It's entirely up to you, really. I can tell you it smells delicious already. I'm starving. I've not had any breakfast today. It is 1:20, so I'm pretty hungry. I had so much udon noodle soup when I was in Japan. I was with my boss and another colleague at the time, and we found this really nice, small little restaurant which was serving only udon noodle soups. And we went there several times, and one day had it with tempura battered broccoli, sometimes with tempura battered shrimp, and the different varieties of udon noodle soup. It was probably my favourite food in Japan. Most people think of sushi when you think of Japan, but there's so much more to their cuisine than sushi. When I went there, I made the decision to try absolutely everything, and it was the best choice because it opened my mind forever as far as food and many other things. I had everything from raw squid, pickled jellyfish, fantastic soups, bento boxes, unbelievable. And I am dying to go back to Japan and take the family too. Today I'm going to try out this titanium bowl from Boundless Voyage. It'll be the first time I use this. It's meant to be 420 mils titanium, and it's meant to have a double wall, so you can put boiling things inside it and it won't burn your hands as you're holding it. Right, I think it's time to try some of this. A little bit of spring onion to garnish, a few little pieces of chilli, and then just slide some of this smoked trout into the broth. Right, let's try some of this udon noodle soup. First the broth. Oh, that's delicious. Some of this rainbow trout. That's fantastic. As you see here, it goes pink as it cooks in the broth. Wow, that's fantastic. I've been wanting to make this a long time, hence why the sake has gone out of date, because it was for this occasion, but a lot of things got in the way. But now it's fantastic, and I've got enough for another at least couple of bowls. As I said, it takes me back to being in Japan. I was there for work, and luckily my boss agreed that we could tag a few extra days onto the trip, and then we hired a car and we went to see Nara, some of the beautiful temples there. It was amazing seeing deer walk through the city. We also went to Kobe and actually visited the museum which commemorates the earthquake which happened there in the 80s, and of course Kyoto itself, which we had a couple of days to explore, which is not enough, but it's such a beautiful, peaceful place. I'd highly recommend you go to it. This bowl actually works really, really well. The broth inside this is boiling hot, and yet it's basically a tiny bit warm on the outside. So I'm impressed. And it wasn't that expensive either. That was fantastic, and just what I needed right now as well. Anyway, a little bit more sake. Cheers. It's very, very pleasant, this stuff, actually. I'm very impressed. that is the brand, in case any of you want to try it. It's not very expensive. I think it was only like €5, something like that maybe. Full-bodied Junmai sake with a clean, crisp finish. Anyway, time for one more. I brought some wood from home because I didn't think there was going to be very much here, which was at the side there. I have some kindling which I made last time I was here, but let's go down to the little woodland and see if there's anything we can scavenge down there. So up here you can see a little project that I was working on and have since abandoned. I was going to make a underground shelter here, just simply haven't had the time since I started it last spring. And you can see here a lot of these sandbags which I filled up with sand, which something has been actually eating and using the material, probably as nesting material like a mouse. I also have some concrete blocks because I was originally going to build a hut in here, but again, simply I haven't had the time this last year. But it's something I do want to do. This woodland's not very big, but it is ours, and I still want to do stuff with it. Unfortunately, it's got so many spiky bushes and trees in here that it's a bit of a nightmare to try and get into it. All these have got loads of spikes on, and look, I just touched it with my glove and it's trying to stick to me. It's the same all the way through here, so I do need to bring my strimmer and tidy it up a little bit. One thing that made finishing this shelter off was the fact there were so many rocks. As you can see here, there are 3 huge ones in the ground, which is impossible for me on my own to move them. And there are several rocks which I have taken out, but they were quite difficult to get out. But it's something I would still like to finish off. However, one night I have thought I might spend the night in here with no tent, just items that I can carry on my person, whether that's in my pockets or hung on my belt. Do let me know in the comment section below if you want me to do something like that. It will be a challenge for me, as I've not done much camping without tents, but let me know if you do want me to try something like that out. There's quite a bit of branches which have come down here, so we will probably just take those up to camp and chop them up for a bit of extra firewood. Those of you who know me very well will know that I'm full of ideas, never short of an idea, but struggle to follow through on those ideas. That is a weakness of mine. This year, I hope that's not going to be the case, and I'm going to push to try and complete things. It's actually getting quite hot right now. Let's check what the temperature is. Right now it is 16 degrees. It's going to be a maximum of 17 today according to the weather forecast. 17, and it's middle of January. It's ridiculous. Well, that should be enough for us to have a small fire later on. It's not going to get that cold, so I don't think we'll need a fire all night or anything, but it'd be nice to have that later on. I think it's time for a little drink. I always carry one of those multi-tool credit cards in my wallet, but over the couple of years I've had it, I think the only things I've used on it is the bottle opener and the tin opener, but it's still handy to have in your wallet. I'm having a Greek beer called Alpha. Cheers to you all. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you to all my subscribers. You guys mean the world to me. I love interacting with you on the comment section. It's always fun. But if you haven't subscribed, maybe you'd like to subscribe today and join the rest of us and have a bit of fun. Anyway, cheers to you all. I've got a question for all you campers out there. When you go camping, especially those who go wild camping, What is your biggest concern during your stay out at night, especially those who are alone? I'd like to hear from you. Right, how am I going to sleep in the back of this pickup? I have a few things with me so I'm not totally exposed, including a 3x3 meter tarp. I have a bivy bag in case the tarp drips in the night. I have my sleeping bag, an inflatable sleeping pad. I also have the Savota sleeping pad, which I reviewed a few weeks ago, which will be the base of my sleeping system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the Savota pad first on here, and on top of that I'm going to have my bivy bag, which inside will have my inflatable sleeping pad and my sleeping bag. So I've got my tarp, got my trekking poles, and I have some cordage. Let's try and make my shelter for tonight in the back of the pickup truck. I've just realised I've brought the wrong tarp. This is not a 3x3, it's 3x1.5, so it's going to be tricky building a shelter out of it. Right, so there is shelter for the night. Unfortunately, due to the fact I'd brought the wrong tarp, that's the best I can do. And although it's meant to be clear tonight, I can feel spots of rain. Now that shelter is not going to help with the rain, in the fact that there are gaps all along the side and they're going to run into me. You tell me how that and the obvious rain that's coming on here equals partially cloudy. There is a lot of cloud blowing this way right now. I'm hoping it's not going to bring more rain. Rain is not forecast for another 2 to 3 days, so it's a little bit early. And even then it should be snow, not rain. So I'm hoping this is just a little drizzle and it goes away. Either way, I have my bivy bag, which is waterproof, so we're clamping under here. It just would have been nice for a little bit more protection, to be honest. But hey, you've got to go with the flow. Right, I'm under the tarp, and apart from a few little bits at the side, the main part is dry. I think it's time for another beer. This time, Patronus. This is a premium Weiss beer from Germany. Cheers, everybody. That's not bad. Right, so many of you may be thinking that the shelter looks a little bit crap. Well, yes, unfortunately, because I forgot my larger tarp, I had two choices. Either one, the full length of me could be covered, and then the sides of the pickup truck wouldn't be as covered, or I could have half my body covered very well all the way across the pickup, and the top of me or the bottom of me would be uncovered. So I decided to go for the full length cover. Again, also I could have had it one length, so it's actually flush with the top of the bed of the pickup truck, but I decided to have a little bit of a slope at the top here, just so, like right now, I can sit up, well, just about, my head is touching the tarp, but I can sit up here and have a drink or read or watch something later on tonight. So the wind's starting to pick up now, so I might have to adjust the shelter so it is lower down for tonight. For the time being, we'll see how it goes. But it's time for a protein bar. I discovered these protein bars a couple of months ago, and I prefer these because I do like to have a little bit of extra protein, and these contain only like 4 ingredients, mainly just peanuts, to be honest. Peanuts! I think I'm going to have to adjust the tarp later on. It is a bit windy. I'm not sure how the wind's going to be later on tonight, but if it keeps on flapping around, I don't want it to fly off in the middle of the night. You can see here I have my Savota. I also have my Miltech bivy bag. I will be using the Climate Insulated Static V as my sleeping pad tonight. It's not the warmest sleeping pad. In fact, I think they did mislead people a little bit. On the pad itself here it says an R value of 4.4. Now that is not the case at all. They actually reclassified that down to below 2 now, so a little bit disappointed. But it is a very comfortable sleeping pad, and in combination with the fact I'm off the ground in the pickup bed and I have the Savota sleeping pad underneath me too, this should be fine. Tonight I'll be using my Millet Syntec Camp sleeping bag. On here it does say the comfort level is down to 2 degrees, comfort limit -4. Well, tonight it's not going to get down much below about 6-7 degrees according to the forecast, and as we can see it's not that reliable, but I've camped in this in a lot colder temperatures, so this should be fine. The reason I bought this synthetic sleeping bag rather than my lighter, slightly warmer down sleeping bag is that I'm using the bivy bag, and therefore sometimes condensation can build up inside, and if the sleeping bag does get wet then you lose your thermal insulating properties. So in this case the synthetic one I think is better. I think it's time for some more of that soup. Apologies for the wind noise. Madness today. Anyway, some nice warm soup. I think I may take the tarp down, to be honest. It's not offering that much shelter. I have the bivvy. As you can see, the tension has already pulled almost one of the eyelets out. If I keep it any tighter, it's likely that most of them will be ripped in the wind. So it looks like I'll be having an open air camp tonight, which is not a problem. I don't mind that. Now this is what happens when you don't plan things properly and bring the wrong gear. This is now my setup for tonight. My bivy bag with my sleeping pad and sleeping bag inside. I have the Savota mat underneath. Not exactly how I planned it, obviously, but I'm still hoping to have a good night here. Right, let's light a fire. I'm not going to mess around tonight. I'm going to use one of these fuel tabs to get it going quickly. Well, the fire's roaring now. You can see it's getting pretty dark, and yeah, I'm ready to settle in for the night. Obviously had my dinner. What I do have is a treat. Is a little tiny bag of chocolate cookies, which I will enjoy beside the fire tonight. Coming to terms with my new sleeping setup, to be honest, but it should be fun. Right, I just started to throw it down and thundering too. I don't mind if it's a little shower, but like this, it's no point getting soaking wet in a bivvy bag, or just as I was sat on my chair in front of the fire. So I'm a little bit disappointed, to be honest. I will hold off. I've just covered my bivvy bag up with the tarp. Hopefully that should limit it getting too wet. And if it does calm down later on, then we will get back in the bivvy bag. But for now, we're just sat in the pickup truck in the cab. And I'm going to listen to a little bit of music and eat my chocolate cookies. As soon as something changes, I will bring you back. Right guys, unfortunately I'm going to have to pack up. The weather's just too unpredictable. The wind has just gone down a little bit now, but before it was all over the place, blowing my gear everywhere, and the rain comes and goes. I just don't know where I am. Unfortunately, I didn't prepare very well this time, which is unlike me. If the idea of this camp was to be miserable and prove a point for something, yeah, I'd continue, but it's no point me being miserable all night, to be honest, especially as I've got work in the morning. So yeah, apologies, but now I've got the joy of packing all my stuff up in pitch black. My head torch battery has gone flat now as well, so yeah, not great. Next time I promise I will do a full camp, but now I'm afraid I'm going to have to call it a night. So thanks for watching, take care, much love, and hopefully see you next time.